Accountability is everything. It's not their job to have worry about whether or not they're going to get paid when they work. Their job is to come in, know their stuff, wow the audience, wow the client, and go home. My job is to take the potential financial hit if something goes very wrong. Hello and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. On the show, I interview peak performing world changers in the creative, social impact, and earth conservation spaces. If you like what you hear on this episode, you're going to want to check out the bonus mini episode you can access if you become a member of my coffee club. If you do, you'll get access to bonus episodes, new art, new writing, and other fun benefits at buymeacoffee.com/IsoldeT. See the show notes for more details. And now, let's get on with the show. Hey, this is Isolde. I just want to let you know that this is one of the episodes that has a bonus. If you join my membership group at buymeacoffee.com, you're going to be able to hear the bonus. And it's an important bonus. It's one I did not put in the main episode because, frankly, I didn't see that note until the end of the episode. But it's an important piece about working in groups, about what you need to do to succeed in a creative group together that is not in this episode. And I wanted to let you know, in all honesty, that it's not in the episode. So if you join the group, you can grab the episode. Okay, let's get on with the show. Hello, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. Thank you so much for being here. This is another Friday Working with Agents episode. It's a little different, though, because today I'm going to talk to you about something that is a little different. If you are a solo artist and you never work with other people where there are contracts and things involved, and I'm not a financial planner or lawyer or whatever, so when I talk about contracts, I'm only talking about from my perspective. I'm not giving you advice or guidance on exactly what you should do. However, there's some stuff that I want to talk about that's a little bit different. If you are working with a group of people and you are the sort of leader or manager of that group of people and you work with agents, you have a slightly different set of responsibilities than those other people, right? So imagine, if you will, there's a client, there's an agent, and the agent books the talent. Now, if you're a solo performer or a solo still walker, a magician, actor, whatever, then you would be booked by yourself. But what if you run a group? What do you do if one of the things that you've taken on is to be the leader or manager of a group that works with talent agents? Do you see what I mean? That's something that it's tricky because there are all sorts of things that you have to do as the leader or manager of a group that you actually don't at all have to do if you're a member of the group. And I am the leader and manager of one of the premier holiday caroling groups. You've heard me mention this on other episodes. In the United States of America, we're called the Philosopher's Tones. We've performed at all sorts of corporate events and other functions. We've performed at the National Harbor Tree Lighting, country clubs, you name it, we've performed there. We've never performed the White House tree lighting, but you never know, right? So the reason I'm saying that is because there are anywhere between 7 and 10 people in the group, depending on the year. And also, we don't ever get booked out as all of us, right? We get booked out as trios or quartets in 3 or 4 part harmony. And so my job becomes to do all sorts of things to get us booked, right? So as a leader and manager, you have extra responsibilities. You take some extra pay in order to offset the time and the cost of those extra responsibilities, but you still have a ton of extra responsibilities. So I'm going to run down for you why this is important, right? It's important because you are responsible to the agents and the clients. The agents are responsible to the clients. The people that are working with you are responsible really to you, right? They're sort of independent contractors to you. They're not so much dealing with the agents. In fact, almost never do they deal with agents or the clients, they actually rely on me, for example, to get all the stuff done that lets them essentially show up to the gig 30 minutes ahead of time, dressed in the appropriate costuming, knowing their music, and ready to go right on time, right? So those are their responsibilities. Now, there are lots of other things, right? I'm going to actually probably go through all of this. The different things that I've written up for the member responsibilities being in this group. You might have a different kind of group altogether. Let's say you have a juggling troupe or a troupe of trapeze artists. You're going to have lots of different types of jobs, but a lot of this stuff is going to have some overlap, right? So a trapeze artist might definitely need to sign a liability release form to their manager, whereas my singers, they know how to take care of their voices and all of that, and I'm the one who has the liability insurance for us. So there's this interesting kind of what do you do there, right? Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because when I deal with the agents, they expect me to be able to produce a group that's going to satisfy the needs of the agent's clients, right? So how do we do that, right? The client calls the agent and they say, we need a quartet for such and such date for such and such time. And the agent then calls me and I go, oh, great, I can do that. Or I can't, depending on what my schedule is. But if I can, then I immediately go to the singers and I say, hey, I need a quartet. If I'm going to be the soprano for that, then I need an alto, tenor, and a bass. If I'm not, then I have to go to one of the other women who sings soprano and ask them if they're available. Once I get everybody's availability, I get back to the agent and I say, yes, we can do it. Or no, we can't, if I can't fulfill the number of people and all of that's wanted. And frankly, one of the things that happens is once they hear us once, clients want us back for return engagements. So we get a lot of return business from these same agents. Part of this is, and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, I maintain a relationship with all of the agents I work with such that they know that I'm going to give them a super fun, super good quality event and show so that they can have all the confidence in the world to book me out. Now, they're not just booking me out, so I have to be sure that my singers know what they need to do in order for me to be able to promise the agent that the agent can tell the client that they have all the confidence in the world that it's going to be stellar, right? So I have to make sure that all of the singers know their stuff. What does that mean? I have to have all the materials to them so that they can learn and practice all of the things they need to know. I have to run the rehearsals and I have to do all of the things that they're going to need to know, all of the logistics for them to be able to get to the gigs on time, which is almost always like 30 minutes before start time. I have to get them the directions and or the address, contact names, contact phone numbers, all of that stuff, know where the green room's going to be. All of that logistics stuff, it falls to me to know, which is fine. And if you are not detail oriented in that way, then you might want to find somebody and pay them to do it. Or if somebody else in your group is able to do those kinds of logistics, then you need to figure out the financial repercussions of that and ask them to do it. For me, I do it all because I'm the one who has established the relationships with the agents and the clients, and I do all of that outreach and marketing every year, contacting them, letting them know about new members, getting them new headshots or group shots in this case, new demos, anything else like that. It's my responsibility, right? So the rest of the group they're required to do the 30 minutes before performance. They have to be there unless they're otherwise notified. They know that they might have their payment reduced if they're there less than 30 minutes prior. So they need to know that, and they need to take adequate precautions in the Washington, D.C. area not to get caught in traffic. Yeah, traffic. Traffic is the bane of performers' existence sometimes. The costuming, they need to know. If you need costuming, you need to know that. Unless they're notified otherwise, for example. So they might want Victorian costuming, these clients, or they might go, no, we want formal black, so you need to wear that. My my responsibilities include knowing that all of the group's members are performance ready on all of the music, right? They need to know the parts, they need to know accents if needed, they need to know all of the stuff that they need to know, pronunciation, dynamics, blend, they need to be proficient, and they need to be performers, right? So they don't just stand up and sing, they perform the music. And so I have to work with them and I have to lead the rehearsals to make sure that that goes. They have to be warmed up and ready to sing by the job start time. They need to know the job and rehearsal details. They need to know the location, all of that. I provide it. I've set up various calendars and a Slack channel for them to get all of the information that they need, but it's their responsibility to get the information. Once I've posted it, it's their responsibility to get it. I cannot wipe people's noses, right? And you shouldn't either, right? You need to work with people who are responsible, who know their stuff. And that's part of when you first form the partnership or you audition people, however you form your group. You need to make sure that the people there are going to be people who know their stuff and who do what they say they're going to do and do what they agreed to do. Because if you hire somebody, if you book somebody or you work with somebody who's always late or who doesn't know their stuff or who doesn't have their costuming, it'll reflect badly on you. So you won't get more work. I can guarantee you that. But also it'll be incredibly stressful. And you, as I said, you agree with the agent and the client that you're going to provide them a certain service. And my goodness, you better provide that service, right? So that's one of the things that I require of my singers is that they are logistically prepared. Once I give them the information and they all know where that information is, then it's their job to get all of the rest of the stuff. They need to know the particulars of each job. They need to ask any questions at least 3 hours before the start time of the job, because sometimes I'm not on the job because we will sometimes get booked 2 different gigs at the same time because we work seasonally. And so if I'm in the middle of a gig, I won't be able to answer their questions. So they agree that they're going to ask me any questions they have at least 3 hours before start time. They need to do the stuff like complete their W-9 forms and give me all of that stuff so that when it comes time for me to do their 1099s, and yes, you are required to do all of that. You know that. I'm not an accountant, but absolutely. Do everything legally for sure. They need to adhere to the rehearsal schedule that I set, usually for me in the second week of November, because I don't live where we work anymore. I live in New York City. We work primarily in the DC area, although we travel. They need to have their headshots to me and their bios to me so that I can put all of that stuff on the website, right? These are all things, if you're working with a group, you're going to want to do. They need to be checking the Slack channel at least 3 times daily or turn on their notifications during our busy season, because sometimes this stuff comes fast and furious. So if you get yourself into a situation, and hopefully that will be the case, where you are booked really fast and furious, you need to know that you are able to get the attention of your group mates as quickly as possible so that you can get the turnaround time down to the agents. Because frankly, if you don't get back to the agent often, unless the client asks for you by name, the agent will go, nope, they're not available. I'm moving on to the next person. It's an unfortunate fact nowadays, but it's true. Agents aren't your agent. They're not the agent of the talent so much. They are filling slots for the client. It's just how it is. So, I love my agents. I love working with them, but I recognize the reality of the fact that this is how it is. They are not in the business of pitching me to clients. They are in the business of when a client calls them with a job and they say, I want carolers, they go, oh, I know who to call, right? So it's a different mindset than it might have been 30, 40 years ago, when an agent might have been going, oh, I represent the Philosopher's Tones and I'm trying to get them gigs. Who wants to hire carolers? It's a different way of looking at how all of this goes. All right. So what else? What else is new? Oh, yes. They need to be able to provide their own transportation. Sometimes you all travel together. Let's say you're in a band. You all travel together in a van to a gig. That's great. I can't do that. So because I live in New York City, they live in the DC area, I absolutely cannot be there to drive anybody. So they have to be able to know all of that. They need to provide stuff like receipts for any parking or reimbursable expenses if they want to get reimbursed. If they don't want to get reimbursed, if they're taking that on the chin themselves, no problem. You need to figure out how to pay the people, right? Are you going to pay them with Venmo or PayPal or checks? However you're going to do that, you are absolutely going to need to make that agreement so that you can get them paid for the job that they do, right? They're working. This is a professional thing. So you need to know that they are going to be able to get paid for it. I have also developed a receipt form, right? So the receipt form has like the date of the job, what the job was called, where it was, and what the fee was, or actually I think they might fill that fee in themselves because that's too much programming for me because our fees vary depending on travel and things like that, and an acknowledgement they did indeed receive payment. So there's a yes/no button, paid in full, ready to go. Because if you're head of this group, you're going to need to be able to see that people received your payments, and because for your own accounting purposes. And again, I'm not an accountant, but it's so much easier if you have something like a receipt document or something where you know that the person who you paid has said that they've received payment and they've been paid in full and you're good to go. It's just really important because that's how things are, right? And your group members are going to need to agree to do their own reporting, right? If they make more than $600, and again, not financial advice, blah, 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 but this apparently is the law still, that if you make more than $600, you have to, first of all, the person you made or the organization you made the $600 from is going to have to give you a 1099 form, but you have to report it, right? That's how it is. Do everything legally. Don't mess around with that stuff. It's just be strictly speaking totally legal. Boom. And the members need to know that I do not hold any responsibility for them reporting or not for them reporting or not reporting their income. That's has to be up to them, right? So for me, that's the relationship that I have with my group. But my responsibilities, right, as opposed to their responsibilities, I book the jobs, so I have to administer the details of contracting, checking availability, finalizing the singers for each job. I have to administer the details of booking, negotiation, contracts with clients or agents. I have to update the Google calendars because we have a Google calendar with all of our jobs since we work seasonally, so everybody knows, right? Within 3 hours of the info becoming available, I have to put it up there so that everybody knows what the latest information is. I'm responsible for marketing all of the jobs that are booked, right? I need to seek new bookings. I need to seek repeat bookings. I need to stay on top, working with the agents, all of that stuff. And the more professional I am, the more clients and agents trust me to actually do the job I say I'm going to do, right? That's so important. Trust is everything. Okay. I seek out new clients, new agents for each performance season. I do all the audiovisual recording and photography, and then I edit all of those for marketing purposes. And you may do something else, right? If you're not a performer, it might be different. But if you are a performer and you know people or something who can do that stuff for you, great. Otherwise, it ends up kind of falling to you to do because you are the leader of this group. Let's see. I have to manage my own taxes. I have to get the 1099 forms, including submission to the IRS and dispersal to the members. That's up to me to do. And if I'm the manager, that's one of the things that I must do. I have to manage and lead the rehearsals. That's another thing. I have to conduct and direct everybody so that they're performance ready. All of the stuff that I have to do, I have to critique and evaluate their performance so that they are performance ready on everything. It's my job to make sure that they are amazing at what they do, even though you have to understand, I work with incredible singers, right? This is in no way a bad reflection on them. It's just that I have to stick to an incredibly high standard of singing in order for us to wow all our clients and agents. That's just how it is. And the singers are more than up to the task. They're all fantastic. That's not the point, right? The point is that I have to be satisfied that when we go out to sing, that they're going to rock it. And especially now, since again, I live in New York City and they're in the DC area, I don't come down for gigs that often anymore. So I need to know that even when I'm not there, they're still going to rock it. And they do because they know their stuff and they're amazing. That's not the point though, right? It's not the point. because my job is to make sure that they are ready to do that. And the other thing is, for example, for us, we're the only group in the world, I think, that does this, but we don't just sing the carols, we perform them. It's a theatrical piece as well. It's not just we're going to get up there and joy to the world. We're going to interact with the audience. We're going to have a lot of fun with them. It's going to be a show as well as a performance, and that is important. I have to evaluate in the space. I have to evaluate it for safety. I have to evaluate audience composition, for example, and modifying performance and set lists for the optimal audience and engagement and entertainment. That's one of the things. I have to be responsible for finding and auditioning new performers as needed. That's something that's going to happen this year. Tragically, we lost one of our members. She died suddenly back in November. And we also had another person move out of state, and he's not going to be coming down so much to perform. So I'm going to need, if you know a really great alto or a really great bass, hit me up. Oh, in the DC area, of course. All right. The next thing, I have to provide all of the pertinent new information to ensure continued performance readiness. That's just how that is. That's important and crucial. I have to get and provide all the sheet music and arrangements of new materials to new people, and also to the old people if we have new people. If we have new material we're learning, I need to have sound files when applicable. I need to make sure that everyone has all of the files, all of the sheet music, everything that they're going to need in order to learn, work, and polish any new repertoire, and also the old one. The old repertoire, the stuff we've been doing for years, because we've been around since 2003, still has to be polished every year. We still have to go through it. I still have to make sure everyone sounds amazing. And then I have to also train and make sure that when I'm not there, that there's a performance leader, right? So I have to know my people well enough to know that they're amazing, and they are. They're all incredible singers. They're all really great people. And there are going to be times when I'm not there. So the performance part, the leading of it part, the getting in touch with the client when you show up to a gig part falls to someone else, right? Because when if you remember from the previous episode, I talked about that. When you get to your first gig, you have to connect with the person who's your contact person, make sure that they know that you're there, make sure that they know that you've got this, right? That you are going to give them an incredible show or whatever it is that you're doing to put their mind at ease that they're working with a professional, that this person's going to be great, and that they're good to go. So when I'm not there to do that, somebody else has to be designated, and it's part of my responsibility to make sure that that happens, right? And then at the end, frankly, I pay them, right? So one of the things that I have to do is pay the people who were at the gig, and then keep straight of all of that, of who I paid when and all of that. And there are times when this becomes a little bit more challenging. There are times when, frankly, I don't get paid, right? There are times when I don't get paid. And this is because the client decided they're not going to pay, right? For example, they just don't pay. And then I'm stuck, right? I am stuck because I have to pay my people. If they showed up and they performed, nobody cares whether or not I get paid. They care if they get paid, and they should care if they get paid. And it's not really up to them to care if I get paid. It sort of all trickles downhill, right? The client should pay the agent should pay me, and I should pay the rest of the singers. That should be how it works. And there are times when it doesn't work that way. The vast majority of the time it does. But there are times when the client, for whatever reason, decides not to pay, or balks at paying, or whatever. And then the agent basically comes to me and goes, the client's not paying. And if it is my fault in any way, or our fault in any way, I will eat that. I will go, yeah, okay, no problem. And I will spend my money to pay the singers, and I will take the financial hit. But there are times when it's not my fault. When the client, for whatever reason, and in fact, most of the time, it's not really our fault. One time it was our fault. It was, and again, as the leader, you take responsibility for that, right? And I'm going to tell you that story in a sec. But most of the time, it's not going to be your fault if you've taken all the precautions I've just talked about to work with your people, to be performance ready, to knock it out of the park. It's not going to be your fault if things go wrong. There are times, though, that the client will just muck things up. They'll get all screwed up, and they'll go, oh, wait, what? You're here on the 21st? I needed you here on the 28th. The job isn't until the 28th. Why are you here? And I'm like, here's my contract, because I bring a copy of the contract to every job that says I'm supposed to be here on the 21st. So I don't know what to tell you, right? So then there's this, you have to figure out what's where. And then often the client will call the agent will call me, and I'll get a certain amount of pressure to sort of capitulate and go, okay, you don't have to pay us. I've had that happen. I've had clients cancel a gig less than 24 hours before the gig. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I usually because we're seasonal, during the holiday season, I get offers for multiple gigs a day. If I have agreed to be there for you, for your event, and you cancel with no notice, you still have to pay me in full. That's just how it is, right? And the problem with that is that the client, of course, goes, well, I shouldn't pay for something that didn't happen. And that's not my problem, right? That's the thing that I have learned to be firm on, because if the client mucks up, if they get the wrong dates, if they cancel an event and don't tell us, that's not my fault. And that's something that you have to sort of develop a kind of a thick skin about, because you're going to face some pressure to agree to not get paid, even if you showed up. That happened to us this past year, and that kind of it feels really weird to be in a situation where someone is gentle pressure, but a little bit of pressure to go, hey, this is a long-term client, and it'd be really cool if we, you do you, but it would be kind of cool if you were to sort of agree to take only the deposit. No, they didn't cancel the gig with us. In fact, they canceled the gig last June, but they never told anybody because there was staff overturn or whatever it was. They didn't tell anybody that this thing wasn't happening. We showed up on the day of. After I called, and remember, a week before I always call, I'd called, left messages, nobody got back to me, and I'm like, well, we have a contract, we should show up. So we did, and they were like, but that gig was canceled in June. And I said, but we were never told. So they're like, okay, go ahead and sing. So we sang. And then afterward, the client came to the agent and was like, well, we shouldn't have to pay for this because the event got canceled. And the agent was like, okay. And then the agent got in touch with me and was like, hey, what are your thoughts? And I had to kind of go, yeah, no, we showed up in good faith. We had a contract. Nobody told us it was canceled. Nobody told the agent it was canceled. We should be paid for this. And so we did get paid for it. And you have to decide for yourself when you're going to stay firm on stuff like that and when you're not, right? There are going to be times when it is advantageous to you to go, yeah, okay, it's totally fine because I know they'll book us next year. That's cool. And long term, that might be good. If you feel like, yeah, you're kind of being taken advantage of, or whatever the case is, it's a case by case basis. You're going to have to decide for yourself whether or not it's something you want to do, right? It's important. And then there are times when it is absolutely the right thing to give them their money back, right? I'm going to tell you the story. We were booked many years ago, our first year singing together. We were booked to sing at a very important venue in the DC area. And we had a singer with us who, for various reasons, I did not actually get. I was told they were a professional opera singer. They said they were a professional opera singer. And I believed that. Well, that was not the case. And, let's put it this way. When we went to sing, this person was so off pitch that the client noticed, and she's a singer herself, and she went, oh, no, I don't think so. So it got to be so bad in the middle of performance that I literally had to tell this person to mouth the words because they were so off tune. And I was new to this thing. This is why I have all of these rules, because I had not double checked. I had not made sure this person was performance ready. I took it on faith. Never again, right? I do not take this stuff on faith because the client was livid. They got in touch with the agent. The agent contacted me and was going, what the heck is going on? And I said, this is entirely my bad. Give them their money back. My part of their money. I don't know if the agent kept her part of the money, but I said, just give them the money back. I don't, and then I paid the singers. So I lost a lot of money on that gig because the singers came and sang in good faith, but I couldn't in good faith accept payment for that. I had to give the money back. So I gave the money back, and it's important. Integrity is everything. Trust is everything. And in this situation, it was not we were there, so we sang, so we should get paid. This was we were there and we sang, the singers got paid, I took the financial hit. And as the leader, you have to understand that that's something that's going to happen sometimes. And you will also have to negotiate with your singers, perhaps, or your group ahead of time. Are they independent contractors who get paid no matter what? Right? Well, by no matter what, meaning if you take the financial hit, do you divvy that financial hit out to everybody else, or do you take it yourself as the leader/manager of the group? I have chosen that they don't have to worry about it. I don't want to stress them out. So, and the vast majority of the time, please don't get me wrong, it's perfect. Everything is perfect. But there are times when things go wrong, and as the leader and manager, I take that on myself, so that the singers are not impacted with that. They don't feel that at all. They get paid no matter what. And because it's not their job, right? Accountability is everything. It's not their job to worry about whether or not they're going to get paid when they work. Their job is to come in, know their stuff, wow the audience, wow the client, and go home. My job is to take the potential financial hit if something goes very wrong. So I do. And before you get into a situation where you are leading a group, you are going to want to be sure that it's something you are ready to do, because it can be challenging. And it's incredibly rewarding, and I love it, and I wouldn't trade it. And I've moved hundreds of miles away, and I'm still leading and managing the group because I love it so much. So because I get to work with incredible people, the agents, the clients, the singers, I work with amazing singers. All of that stuff keeps me doing it. But I realize that as the leader and manager, I have extra work and I take extra risk. You have to be aware of that before you embark on this particular part of the journey. Alrighty. This has been a very full episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you got something out of it. If you did, I would love, it'd mean the world to me if you were to buy me a cup of coffee. I like my lattes with oat milk, just saying. But yeah, I actually have a thing now with buymeacoffee.com. If you go to buymeacoffee.com/Isolda T, you can buy me a cup of coffee. I would love it if you would. That'd be really cool. Okay. Next time, I think we're going to be talking about when you work with agent sort of websites. There are websites out there like Gig Salad and The Bash, where you can put yourself on as someone who does what you do. And then when potential clients or booking agents are looking for someone who does what you do, you can bid on jobs. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more next time. Until then, this is Isolda Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, reminding you to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolda Trachtenberg and is copyright 2022. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, remember to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind.